are some, how do you help your students break their neurological programming, in a sense, or help them re-experience it or refilter it, in a sense, so that they can see the world in a different way?
I first have to disrupt their pattern of thought and thinking. And I change frames on them. I paint a different perspective on things. An example is, I can ask them a question that will stop their thought process right in their tracks. And as they're thinking about it, there's a small window of opportunity there with precision timing that I enter what they should be doing, and it absorbs much easier and much better for them. And now I can paint a different picture and perspective because now their brain is ready to adapt to it. And then I paint that different picture, a different frame of mind. You know, it's just like anything else. You know, if you see somebody, you know, just blatantly run a red light, and you're like, what a jerk, you know what I mean? He could have hurt somebody, killed somebody in there, you know what I mean? But then if you discovered that his wife is pregnant and there's blood everywhere and she could be losing a baby, then it's like, oh my God, what do I do? What can I do to help them, you know?
Exactly.
This is changing perspectives, seeing things differently. You could have gotten mad and pissed off, but all of a sudden you're not pissed off anymore. One of my instructors, Lowell Anderson, one of my first instructors of the Gracie Academy, was really angry one day. We're all human. We can get angry, you know. He was a brown belt at the time. And he was telling us this story, and it stuck with me for life. Because he said he was so pissed off. He was driving, this guy cut him off, and his girlfriend was about to break up, and he was just so pissed off. This other person made him mad, and he was short on money, and he was late, and everything that can go wrong he was just pissed. Anybody that looked at him wrong, he said, I was ready to throw down at a drop of a hat. But what happened to him, he said? He was at a stoplight, just pissed like this. And he just happens to look over to the next guy in the car, right? Out of the blue. And the guy looks at him and just gives him this smile. Just smiles at him. And he looks back and he's like, what was I mad about again?
That's right.
It was just like it totally changed the whole perspective and frame of what am I doing? Why am I so pissed off? You know, sometimes it just takes a nice smile from somebody, or a friendly gesture, or something polite, or something very, you know, anything. It could be anything. We've all watched a movie that changed our direction in life. Or somebody said something to us and it changed the direction of what we were going to do and set out in life. And it impacted us in a way that made life much easier, more impactful, and made me more inspiration, gave me more inspiration, and made me do something that I didn't know what I was going to do and didn't even know I was capable of doing. And I accomplished it. Something so profound or so small as a smile. Anything. Anything to change, stop somebody in their tracks from what they're thinking or doing. Bang! And all of a sudden it's just like, they paint something, it's just like, the light bulb goes off. And it's just like, wow, I get it now. Now I'm creating a meaningful experience for the other person so they can stir it up, cook it for themselves, and of course they're going to have more servings because they made it.
Exactly.
Not me. They made it. That's what it's all about.
They say that any true teacher doesn't tell you how to grow, just tells you where the sun is, so that you can seek it for yourself.
Right.
Well, along those lines, because you're very successful in what you do, and you've had a lot of great influences in instruction. What are some of the goals that you might not have reached that you are looking to reach?
Many and plenty. I've got goals all over the place.
Right.
You know, sometimes when life gets tough, you feel sometimes it's hard to obtain. But it's what keeps us driven, that drive that gets us there, that motivation. Sometimes we need to create a new meaningful experience, a new perspective for ourselves, and along that self-discovery, to re-motivate ourselves to do something. Some of the little things, I have millions of goals. I have 2 daughters that are 3 years old. I'm trying to paint the best picture I can so they can make wise decisions. The way I speak to them, my language patterns I use, my inflections in my voice, my tonality, everything has an impact. Everything is recorded in their brain unconsciously. So therefore, I watch everything I do and say. I must act right. I must think right. I must speak right. I self-correct myself on a daily basis in the process of perfection. So I don't have to correct myself so much. Will I need to always? At some point. Always. We're always trying to make ourselves better. But I'm always trying to deliver, say the thing right. I don't say, don't put your hand in a cookie jar. What do most kids think? Kids, their brainwaves are in alpha and theta. My kids, 3 years old, their brainwaves are in theta. That's fantasy land. That's dream state. They don't understand negation. They don't hear the don't. They just hear, put your hand in the cookie jar. They're thinking, hand in the cookie jar. But if I tell them, that's all they're going to think about. But if I say, keep your hands away from the cookie jar, now they're thinking, keep it away from the cookie jar. Or, don't spill that milk as you bring it to the table. They're thinking, oh, the milk's going to spill the milk. You don't hear the don't. But if I say, keep every drop of milk in that glass, then they're thinking, keeping every drop in the glass, every drop in the glass. And they get it there successfully. So how I speak to them makes a difference, because later they're going to be speaking to themselves internally with that internal dialogue with that same positiveness. They're not going to say, I don't want this, I don't want that, or don't do this, don't do that. That's a bunch of what you don't want. Who cares? Nobody cares. They practically don't care what you do want. But if I paint the picture of what I do want in a positive way, I'm going to get positive results out of myself and other people. That's what it's about.
Where do you see the evolution of Jiu-Jitsu going? There's a lot of new schools and new concepts and new ideas from various individuals. And there's some that, like we talked about before, with the people in the garage that have great ideas, and then there's the guy that has a giant school and is horrible. And where do you see the evolution of Jiu-Jitsu going as a whole? And I don't just mean technique-wise, but like you said, in the neurological programming, for example, and in teaching methodologies and things like that.
Honestly, to be brutally honest, I think the road that it is taking, we've had some great successes. Now we've got everybody in the world training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. From law enforcement to soldiers to fighters to the general public. All and every single continent, we're here. We've landed, we've arrived. We've done what we set out to do. However, in the process of this, things get watered down. Messages get lost in translation. You see a lot of schools opening up. Unfortunately, not because I'm better than anybody else, but I can walk into any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, 99% of all schools in America, and point out that, things that they may be doing that is not correct, or the message that's with it is not the right one. What was given to me by Helio is the right place, right time. That's why I'm nobody special. I just was delivered something very, very unique. And I think the message that goes along with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is emphasis is technique and leverage. And not only how that is delivered, but also how they're able to use it. And then once they're able to use it, now it's my job to cultivate which direction they use it in and how effective they use it. And there's a lot of schools that are they do the same things. It looks like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it's watered down. They're doing it, there's a couple of elements, key points that they're missing. They're doing it too fast, too hard, too much strength. Or they're just missing an element that can make it a lot more effortless and easy. Maybe they're putting emphasis on pushing here when they should be pushing here and pulling here. You know what I mean? So things get lost in translation, Jiu-Jitsu gets watered down. I'm happy in the direction that it's went. But being a part of Jiu-Jitsu from day one in the beginning, back at the Gracie Academy when it first came to America, I believe the message is diluted. My sole purpose in life is to keep it intact. To the best of what seems to be my knowledge. And what seems to me is to be correct for what was given to me. However, sky's the limit. I believe in growth. We have to grow and evolve. However, I think a lot of the main core principles and the foundation of what got us here is being eliminated. Is being forgotten about. People don't know. I think people are missing the message completely. So I think, in my opinion, we're not everywhere. I don't have a million students everywhere. But I think to get that and to deliver the right message, now we're on to something. And my whole purpose is, we've got schools that they want to open up Colorado Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in Kansas City. We're even talking about Mexico, Oklahoma. But my purpose is not to open up a bunch of schools. My purpose is to deliver the message so these guys are delivering the same message. So it's not watered down. The self-defense is still there. There's little tricks and things in the self-defense and the basics. To be honest, just the basics. People, I know the basics. I already know that stuff. There's little elements in there that keep points that are in the basics that matter in the very advanced stuff. That was in my face that I didn't see then, but now, 17 years later, I get it. I understand. Now I'm trying to give that knowledge as they're learning it. So they stick to the true principles of what makes Jiu-Jitsu work. Jiu-Jitsu is a self-defense. It was meant for fighting. It's meant for fighting. It's not meant for the sport. It's
It's
not
a
meant
way
for
of
MMA.
life. It was a way of life as well.
It is a way of life. I believe if you're doing the right thing, making the right choices, doing the right thing in life, doing something that's just or helping somebody, you can't go wrong. You got too many forces behind you that is leading you in the right direction, doing the right thing, giving the right message. That's the important part.